back to the Shared Diary. This is the space where the private becomes public and the stories we usually keep to ourselves finally find a home. I'm Lori.
I'm Debbie. And I'm Nicole.
We are three women with no secrets, just life. Because life is always better when the diary is open. So grab a seat, lean in, and let's get into today's entry. Well, hello, everyone. Hello. It's Nicole and I this week one more time as Debbie is spending time with her family, and we're so happy for her. She's at the lake. She's just enjoying everything that she can. So this is the Shared Diary. We are on episode 7, and we're going to talk today about why do I keep talking myself out of the life I want? I don't know about you, Nicole, but I've totally been there.
100%. 100%. There's so many things that pass through your mind over time as you change and as you evolve and all of those things. And you can get, or at least I can get very excited about certain things and have this like, I can't wait to do it. And within minutes, I can hear myself saying, are you crazy? Like, how is that ever going to work? All of those things. So and how about you, Lori? When that topic came up for you, what did you think?
Well, it's interesting because I'm kind of in the middle of that process right now. Like, I've made some pretty bold choices and decisions, and I'm like getting into that, I guess, the logistics of it all. Because you make this plan and you dream this dream, and then you actually go and try to do it, and you're talking yourself out of it. So there's a wave of emotions that goes along with this. And so that's why I thought this topic was perfect for today. So thank you guys for joining us. If you're joining us on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, please drop a comment below. Tell us where you're joining us from. And we want to hear your thoughts on this topic. The topic is, why do I keep talking myself out of the life I want? So Nicole, our content master, has come up with the questions for this week, but I'm going to read a little diary entry. I thought this was really, really timely. So it says, "Dear Diary, today I almost said yes. I wanted to, everything in me wanted to. For a few minutes, I could actually picture myself doing it. I got excited. I thought maybe this is it. Then almost as quickly, I started talking myself out of it. Can I really afford it? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm just wasting my money? What if everyone realizes I'm not as capable as they think I am?" So I said no again. And now I'm sitting here wondering, am I ever actually going to do the things I dream about? Or is my life always going to look like this? So with that, I just thought that is so, so timely. And this is a shared diary. This is a conversation we're welcoming you into with us. We're sharing our diaries, and we would love for you to share yours. It's time to get real. It's time to get vulnerable, and it's time to get into the discussion. So this is the shared diary, because life is better when the diary is open. All right. So with that, the first question, Nicole, have you ever wanted something so badly and then found yourself listing every reason you shouldn't do it?
Oh, yes. So many times. I think it really, really showed up. Actually, it started showing up even, I think, during my marriage. Even, I would be thinking of things I wanted to do, and then I kept thinking, oh, that would mean this person wouldn't be able to do this. That would mean that, that I'd be taking away from somebody else. Can I invest that in myself? There were so many questions, and I think that started that for sure. I don't think I started doing a lot of that until I was in that place when I was married, but I remember it. I remember having these like inspirations coming to me of things I would love to do. And then I would talk myself right out of it. My stories became so much stronger than the dream. And one thing I remember was I used to dance really competitively. And I remember thinking I wanted to go further in it. And I'd gone down to Los Angeles to dance for a little while at some point. And I kept thinking about what would it be like to go to the auditions that I wanted to go to and do the things I would like to do. And then I got so scared, so scared. Like I just was like, I can't even, like I kept thinking about, sorry, there's noise in my background. I don't know if you can noise, you can't. Because I'm like, I can't, it's distracting me. But I kept thinking of like, am I capable enough to do this? How much is it going to take for me to do this? Is it, do I have the skills for it? Will I burn myself out trying to do this? All the scenarios in my head. And so I remember saying to myself, no, like it was a dream. And then it's like, come on, Nicole. And the one word I think comes up with me and lots of times with my clients is the word logical. Be logical about this. And I don't know about you in that word, but for me, oh my gosh, that word, I hear that word a lot, be logical. But a lot of times behind the logical is fear, a fear of doing things the exact same way we've always done it, right? Just do it the same way. You know it already. Don't even go any further than that. So that was something I remember being like, I don't want to do that to myself again. I remember doing it and never knowing what was possible for me. And I kept thinking, this time when I do something, this time I don't want to talk myself out of it. I want to see what is possible, because when I talked myself out of it, it didn't feel good inside. It felt like I will never know. I will never know. And I didn't love that feeling. How about for you, Lori? How has that showed up for you? And has there been a time that you remember talking yourself out of what you would love?
Absolutely. I love that you brought up logic because that's what we do. We definitely kind of think about, we overthink, right? And sometimes we put it into the category of logic or being reasonable, right? And so dreams and reason don't really go hand in hand. It's like oil and water. So I've been kind of doing this basically for a year and a half, honestly. I remember last January thinking, I want to make a bold move, but will it work? And so it, I'm living this. Like I said at the beginning, I feel like I'm living this result of waiting and waiting and waiting, and then finally kind of taking the leap. And it feels really good, but it's scary. Like you said, what stops us is fear. And that's just the facts, right? So I love this question. I love the fact that we're talking about this. I love the fact that we've already got some comments. So, hello, Craig. Hello, Lonnie. Hello, Debbie. We miss you. It's so great to have you all, and everyone else who hasn't commented. So it's super fun to have you. Go ahead and drop in the comments where you're coming from. Are you coming from LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook? I think it's amazing that we can do this, right? Technology is wonderful. And this is a podcast, but it's also a conversation. So we're inviting you into this conversation. So if we're asking questions, go ahead and put your thoughts in the comments. We love that. We've actually had some really key, wonderful, kind of epic times where we hear something from you and it sparks something in us. So we welcome that for sure. So I think the anchor quote for today is pretty cool. It's sometimes the biggest thing standing between us and the life we want is the conversation happening inside our own head. And that's exactly what we just talked about, Nicole, and the conversations that you were having with yourself, conversations I was having myself. So it's a big issue and it's a big topic. So let's just keep diving in. I'm wondering, what are some of the most common stories we tell ourselves? So, Nicole, I know you just talked about stories. One of the most common story I think I tell myself is that it won't work. And so, like, I'm already setting myself up for failure. What about you? What are some of the most common stories you tell yourself?
Well, for sure that one too. Like for sure, it won't work, but also like how? How can I make this work? I
Mhm.
say how to myself all the time. It's like I need to know the how before I even take a chance in something. I need to know like the path I'm going to take and who's going to be part of it. And I kind of want to, almost have that fortune teller telling me that the end is going to be 100% great and everything's going to be okay. And so the stories, that's like one is the how. And then also, it goes even deeper than that. Lots of times it comes down to behind the how or it won't work is that, do I believe that what I want to do means enough to people out there if it's something I'm wanting to put out there? Or will people understand me? Or will they judge me? Or, wonder if I fail and I've invested my time and my money. Like, and then it comes down a lot of times, even like my children, I think about them, like what is the example I'm setting for them? There's so many stories, and once you start on one, it often just finds so many of them. So that is something that has happened, and I believe the chatter in our head is the thing that stops us the most, because lots of the things we tell ourselves aren't necessarily true. Many times they're not true, yet we, say them as almost our truth. And if we say them enough, we can talk ourselves right out of it. And safety becomes more important than the creation. And for me, I've been learning to walk through that, what that looks like. So, how about for you, Lori? Are there more stories? As I was sharing them, I'm like, oh, there's so many. Actually, I just want to say, like at the beginning, when you were doing that diary entry, and you were saying the diary entry, I can picture a woman or a man in their head going to bed at night, and it's so much heavier, right? It's not just what they want to do. It's more about like who they are, and can I live greater than what I have been telling myself? And will I only ever live like this? And will I only ever do this? It's so heavy. And so I really resonated with when you were talking about that, because at night, those are often the times where we think about those things. And so yes. And for how about for you, Lori? Any more stories for you?
Yeah, well, when you were talking about fear and the things that we think of most often don't happen, I think there's a percentage that goes with that. Like we come up with all of these fears about how we're going to fail or what's going to happen. And I think it's like 99% of the things that we actually dream up and think about and resonate with and like keep playing in our heads, the stories, they don't happen. So I think I've learned over time to kind of shut those stories down and try to move forward. And movement for me has always been a way out of the stories, whether it's, you know, sitting in a place and I need to get up and walk around, or, actually going and exercising, doing my yoga, things like that. Those stories of fear that say, because you kind of create a story that says, well, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. And it's like a downward spiral. And I always like to change those downward spirals into upward spirals and start to say the opposite. No, it will work. What if it does work out? What if it does? What if it is the right step for me? And I think the biggest story in my past has been security. So whatever it is that I'm clinging onto, like the norm or the secure job or the secure relationship, even if it's not a good one, change is hard. So for me, I think the security part of it was really what was holding me back. And so now I'm just kind of trying to live in a new way since I started the Be Awesome Network, and make some bold choices, some bold decisions, and follow that path. And then when you follow that path, more doors open. It's like you only see so much of the path, but then you push a branch out, from your view, and here comes a wide open field or something beautiful, right? I like to think of it in terms of that, so that I can actually visualize and walk in that direction without fear, because what's actually in the future for me is beauty, right? So I thank you for that. I think that, we're both at the stage in our life right now where we're pushing through those boundaries and branching out in ways that we haven't done in the past. And to me, it's exciting. And I love what Craig said, I think a few minutes ago, like running track in the starter gate, you're nervous until the gun goes off, and then it's excitement that energizes you. I love that. Yeah, I totally agree. And so, hello, Haley. Hello, Craig. Thank you for doing that. He says, breaking the sound barrier. I love it. Oh, goodness. Well, and so to continue this conversation, I think it's important to look back, but also look forward. So when you looked back, you know, you talked about some of the things that you might have been afraid of. Have you ever looked back and realized the thing that you were afraid of never actually happened?
Yeah, like many times, many times. And I think that happens all the time. There's been so many times where I've been nervous about my next steps in this business and what I was going to do, and the things that I had feared never necessarily. In fact, they pretty much have never fully materialized the way I put it in my head, like what would happen to me. And what I realized too is that I think it's the first step, like taking that first step is the courageous step. Like you need that courage, right? I feel it's like that courage to take that first step. But what that first step does for me every time is it creates evidence of what is possible. And what I notice is that when I take that first step, my potential moves. And then it moves again. And every single time I take a step, I'm like, oh, I can do this. And now I can do this. And so I don't think that we get confidence just from, saying I'm confident or talking about being confident. It's taking the action and then actually looking at the evidence you're building. And every time you have this evidence, it's like a bank that you're building up of what you can do. And so yes, I think about these stories and whether they've come true. Most of the time, no. Most of the time, they have not. Yet they've scared me a lot. But I've had to learn, just like you, is to be more excited about the vision than my fears. Like get really excited about my vision, get really excited about like my why, like getting really dialed into why I am doing this.
Yeah.
I actually I have my why right beside, you can't see it right now, but it's right beside my computer. And it's a picture of the kids and I look at it all the time before I'm about to do something that I have never done before, because I know what my body's doing. I know the fear that I'm feeling. And then I look at them and I'm like, do it. Just do it, right? And because I really don't want to live with regrets. I really don't. And
Yeah.
some things I need people to talk me into it, to help me. I do need that support system around me. But I really believe that every step we take, we learn. Every
Mhm.
single step we take, we learn. So and I wanted to thank, oh my gosh, we're getting so many great comments coming in here. It's so great. Lonnie said, even before I knew how your conversation was going to go today, this was the topic of my morning meditation. The next step. Sometimes when we can't see we don't take the first step, right? You get so nervous. You
Yeah.
can't see the end, or you can't see the vision. You don't take the next step. But if you don't take the next step, you never get to that vision, right? The vision is there calling you and you never get there. And so I love that, Lonnie. And hello, Jenny. And Lonnie put courage, action, evidence, confidence. I love that. Thank you for putting that into a framework for us. Courage, action, evidence, and confidence. And isn't that great though? I love that. Thank you, Lonnie. And Jenny is here as well. Action definitely gets you clarity. Beautiful. Like Jenny is the amazing at helping you find clarity. And she said that definitely helps you bring clarity, and clarity leads to confidence. Absolutely. So beautiful. Thank you so much for everybody who is chiming in. Thank you. We appreciate you being here with us. It's so fun to have you here. So thank you. Lori, how about you? What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on this?
I was just reading the comments as you were talking too. And so I love the fact that, you know, let's just take the Shared Diary podcast as an example. You and I and Debbie were deciding to have, kind of candid conversations in our networks. And we decided on a Friday, and we started having these conversations. And as we were live broadcasting into our Facebook networks, something started to bubble up. And I don't even know whose idea it was first.
I
But
don't either.
yeah, I remember we were live, and I said, we're thinking about turning this into a podcast. What do you guys think we should name it? And we were kind of workshopping it live, and it was just so fun because there was live comments coming in. And to my knowledge, this is not something that happens anywhere else on a podcast, that we actually get live comments and get to interact with our audience. So I just think that's really, really cool. And we've encouraged you guys every single week to come back 2 p.m. Eastern on Friday and put your thoughts in the comments. So this is exactly what we want to happen, and it's happening. So thank you guys. And I want to highlight Haley. She says, what if it isn't fear holding us back? What if we know our why and vision, but we're waiting for divine direction when it looks like fear? That's a great point, because sometimes you do feel the fear, but you're waiting. So it's like the timing issue, right? I think when we were starting this podcast, it was 3 or 4 weeks before we even decided to just jump in and start it. And before that, it had been almost a year or a year and a half before, when we had first met and started doing things together. So it was like a process, and there was just little steps along the way. So that's a really great point, Haley, about waiting. You have to decide that for yourself, right? Am I acting out of fear, or am I being smart about my next move? Because you don't want to just jump off a cliff just because, with no safety net. But for me, in my experience in the last 2 years, it's been something that I've been doing, waiting. So Haley, thank you. And now it's finally time, and it just feels so good. So, all right, we're going to shift gears into our quick fire questions, taking myself out of it. All right, so the first question, this is this or that. What's harder, starting or sticking with it? Wow. What do you think, Nicole?
Oh my gosh. I think both are hard, actually. I think starting is one of the hardest. I don't even know there's a stat out there about just how hard it is for most people to start. Like, because the start is putting yourself out there. It is actually getting the things organized and being vulnerable. It's like your chest is wide open and you're like, here I go. Here I go. I don't know how it's going to go. And that is a very vulnerable place to be at in your life, is that place of deep vulnerability. Like, I'm putting myself out there. So I think starting for most people is one of the most challenging things, because once you start, like you said earlier, Lori, once you start, you often go, that wasn't that bad. I thought it was going to be like so much worse, right? And so I think the start can be one of the hardest things, but then the staying with it. And that's where I think we have to really watch what our limiting beliefs are, because we will start things, and I've done it too, for sure, many times. As you start something, you're excited about it, you get some momentum going, and then you start hearing your chatter up in here again saying, oh, you can't keep up with this, look at what they're doing out there, oh my gosh. You may get a comment on social media that just like takes you back, and you're like, I can't do this. In fact, I remember when I was doing a brand new business, I was in direct marketing. This was back in 2015. And that was right after my separation, and I was trying to build a business. And so my self-esteem was really small. Like, I really didn't know how I was going to do what I needed to do. And I wasn't feeling super confident. And I really didn't have a lot of belief in myself at the time. And I remember I had to reach out to people, right? You had to actually reach out to people and say, this is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm selling now. Would you love to, purchase this product that I had? And I remember I got a comment from somebody, and it was really not a very nice comment. And it hit me so hard. They sent an email that was very, very direct, and it hit my heart like you wouldn't believe. Like, it basically almost made me quit. And the thing is, I remember having support around me. So I did have people saying, oh my gosh, like that isn't true. Are you believing that? Like, are you actually taking that in? But if you're in a really kind of low place, those words can be like knives, right? Knives to you. But I think that's where we're scared at the beginning to start, but then once you're in, you really have to work on the chatter. Like, no matter what's coming at you, can I keep telling myself the things I need in order to stay on that vision? Can I show up consistently? Can I believe in myself when somebody else doesn't believe in me? And that is a lot of work in there, right? But it's such important work because you are on your path. You have started. This is like, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful part of it.
Yeah.
How about for you, Lori?
Totally agree. In fact, Craig says it's not the early bird that gets the worm, it's the persistent one. I also love your use of emojis, Craig. I'm a big emoji girl. And hello to Gina. Thank you for joining us. So glad you're here. So yeah, we are talking about a big topic today, and it's really what's really landing with me is, what's harder, starting or sticking with it. And the theme of today's episode is, if you're just joining us, why do I keep talking myself out of the life I want? This is a big one because we all live our lives and we all have dreams. And sometimes we just squash those dreams down, or we put them off and procrastinate. And when we end up doing that, I feel like we kind of, or at least I do, guilt myself and kind of tell myself, I wouldn't say loser, but you're just, again, you're putting it off, Lori. Why are you putting it off? This chatter that you said is inside our minds, and it's so true. So I think for me, I think what's harder is probably starting, because I'm the type of person that when I start something, I go full in and I don't give up. And so if I come across, there's always those times where you're going to have discouragement, right? So if you start something new and you start reaching out to people like you or Nicole, and just letting them know what you're doing, and someone might say, "Oh, thanks, that's not for me," and it could be rude, it could be not rude, but the discouragement is going to be there. And so that's why the persistence and the fortitude is so important. There's a book called Grit. Like you have to have grit. And I think that's by Angela Duckworth. And it's so true. The people who succeed in life are not necessarily the most gifted people or the smartest. It's the ones who don't give up. And so that's who I want to be. I want to be someone who doesn't give up. And I'm not going to give up on myself. I've done that for years and years and years previously. And so this is a season in my life where I'm ready to just go, and don't give up in a way that's not going to run my body to the ground, because we've all done that, been there, done that. And so it's a balance, just like everything else. It's a balance, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to jump into the next question, which is, have you ever talked yourself out of something and later regretted it? Yes or no? And then which is louder for you, excitement or fear? I think let's go to that one. Which is louder for you, excitement or fear? I think it depends for me. What do you think, Nicole?
It for sure depends. I think, when I get ideas, I'm always excited first. Like I am, because the idea came and I'm excited about the idea. And then often the fear will kick in. And I think the fear kicks in higher when the stakes are higher. So like the more I'm going to have to invest in myself, the more that it may tax me financially, the more that it may take more of my time. The fear can be louder. And so I think it depends sometimes, but I know excitement for me usually, like even when I was thinking about what Haley was talking about before, the divine timing and the whether it's fear or not fear, I think what I use a lot for myself is, does it feel good in my heart? Like, is this something that I would love? This is actually a good question for myself. Lots of times is, if there was no fear, Like if fear wasn't holding me back, would I be like, yes, I'm going to do this. Yes, I love this. Like if there was nothing there saying no to me, would I be like so excited about it? And that is a huge one for me, because then the fears usually have stories in them. There's things that I'm telling myself that may not be in alignment with what I know I'm capable of. And so, I fear and excitement go hand in hand too. I think they do. Like, because anything you're doing that you've never done before, you're going to have fear no matter what, because you've never done it before. Your body, like the mind is like beautiful, but it's designed to keep us safe. And
Mhm.
so when you go to be like, I can't wait to do this, the mind's going to be like, no, 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 no. We've never done that before. Let's not do that. That's so scary. Why would you ever put yourself in that position? It's like that little, like, I feel like it's like one of those animation characters that's right there. Like, no, 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 we can't do this. But the thing is, we will always have some fear when we want to go do something amazing, and that I don't think will ever disappear, because if it's something we've never done,
Mhm.
we will have to have a little bit, right? It's that
Mhm.
challenge. So what about you? Fear or excitement for you?
I think they are similar, but so very different. So for me, when what really gets me going when I'm excited about something is the actual momentum that created from starting. So just take this podcast for example. You and I and Debbie decided we were going to start it, and like I think I spent hours and hours and hours on how to figure out how to get it on Apple Podcasts, and what's the best way, what's the best website to use for that. And so like I just went down this rabbit hole, and it was like I looked up and it was like midnight. And so getting excited about something actually gets me going, and I lose track of time. And that's the part of being an entrepreneur and doing new things and trying new things that really excites me, because I know at the end of the road, I'm going to have learned something new that I can maybe share with other people. And I've conquered a giant that I decided I would just go ahead and slay. So I think that for me, they're both there. So fear always kind of gets in the way as logic, like we talked about at the very beginning. But excitement, once you can get over that hump of fear and start doing the things that you're talking about or wanting to do, that excitement takes over, and I feel like you kind of get into this momentum and this flow. And so for me, it's an and. I don't know if I can pick which one is
Yeah,
louder. I mean, I always want excitement to be louder, of course, everyone
me
does,
too.
but yeah. But so that's one of the things I think with the fear, a lot of people face it, and a lot of it has to do with your history, your background, your upbringing, your origin, your family of origin, and that kind of thing. So I know you do a lot of work with people on mindset and getting past those fears, Nicole. And I know I've done in my own life a lot of work on that. And so I think it takes practice. It takes practice of being afraid and just going to the next step. There was a couple years ago, I was a part of a leadership summit, and there was a speaker on the stage, and she did a challenge, and she was wanting to get 100 questions, and it didn't matter, she was asking for 100 things. So every single day she asked for something, so she would challenge herself to ask. So it was like she wanted 100 yeses, but if it was a no, that was okay too. And she ended up going on this journey of, like, she ended up skydiving and doing all of these great things that she never would have done if she hadn't have just taken that risk and asked the question and taken that step. So I think it's a great example that we should challenge ourselves in those areas that we're really wanting to move forward in.
Mhm.
So I have another question, but I want to make sure that we've covered all of our comments here. Debbie says perhaps distraction is the way fear shows up in your life and it becomes a habit or a pattern. I love that. we can really get stuck into distractions in the daily grind. And I know I can do that. I can be like, I can put my business aside, or the scary thing that I wanted to do, like go live and talk about some program that I have, or some social media post or something, and just be like, well, no, I need to do the laundry. Those kind of things. I mean, it just, it's just life, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
I
I find that
know.
sorry, Lori, I was gonna say that too. It's so funny, like many other women I talk to, they're like, when they're thinking of something they want to do, they say to me, like, my pantry has never been more organized because they're like, every time they want to go do something, they go to the thing that they know they can do, right? That takes them away from what they need to do. And they still feel like it's productive. They're still like, oh, look at my pantry, it looks amazing. But it's those distractions that that you are doing almost on purpose because it becomes too much. But lots of times the distractions come from those stories, right? I like, if the story is a really challenging story of like that I can't learn fast enough, or I never speak clearly, I'm not a great writer, like when you're trying to do a post, if those stories are behind there, a distraction becomes a place of relief, right? And we do that quite often to help protect us in a situation. But if we have awareness of that distraction, that's really important, because we could be like, why do I keep doing this thing? What is the reason I keep doing this thing when I'm supposed to be doing the thing that I would really love? And just asking ourselves why can be a really honest conversation with ourselves, right? And then from that place being like, is that 100% true? What I'm saying to myself, is it 100% true? And again, what would I love? Is this getting me closer to what I would love, or taking me further away from what I would love?
Yeah, I think the key word there is distractions. And that's just something that we do, like you said, to stay safe, to play it safe, to do something comfortable. Like, I think sometimes when I've challenged myself to do something that's uncomfortable, I'll gravitate towards doing those distracting things that I know, like, I mean, I know I can fold the laundry well. So it's like I'm creating these little tiny wins. And I don't know what it is about our minds that do that, but I think it's very important, like you said, to just kind of wake yourself up if you're in the middle of it. It's okay. It's okay to do things that you need to do, but just asking yourself, am I avoiding, or am I preparing? Because you could be preparing your thoughts and how you're going to do it and what you're going to do. You could be doing that as you're doing the thing that you need to do. So yeah, it's such a conundrum, isn't it? Okay, well, I want to know too, what is scarier, trying and failing, or never knowing what could have happened? So I have a quick little story about this, because I wonder, what is failure? Failure is different for each of us. We sometimes think of something that we want to do, and, what does it mean when we fail? So, have you ever failed and it wasn't as scary as you thought? So, I know for me, I wanted to host a retreat in Mexico, and I started this last year, summer, about this time. I didn't give myself enough time, and I knew it. I was putting it off, putting off starting, right? So once, when I finally did start, I only had 3 months to fill all of the spots. But it was that battle between, do I do it and go all out and maybe fail, or do I not do it and then wonder what could have been, right? So for me, I actually did fail according to my standards, right? I didn't host the retreat, but I learned so much. So I wonder if you're listening out there and you're thinking about starting something and you're scared of failure, which is scarier, trying and failing, or never knowing what could have happened? So, what about you, Nicole?
Well, yeah, for me, they're both like, I think the one that I resonate the most is never trying, like not putting myself out there to see. Um, because I don't want that to be something that I regret. And I talked about that at the
Mhm.
beginning, but
Yeah.
I really don't want to have regrets. And so I think trying is so important. And exactly what you just said, and I loved what you said, Lori, about failure, your definition of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like you said, on paper, maybe it looked like I failed. I didn't get the people in there that I wanted to, but I learned so much along the way so that when I do go and do it again, I have all this information. And I love the reframe on that, because we could really beat ourselves up and say, I didn't get anybody in, and I will never do that again. I will never try that again. Like, I won't. Or like you did, it's like, oh, I learned so much. Next time I'm going to do
Mhm.
this. And isn't that beautiful that you did that? I think that's so beautiful, because again, that comes back to like persistence, and I'm not giving up on myself. And maybe that avenue didn't work that time, or maybe I need a longer runway, or
Yeah.
I need to partner with somebody in this, or whatever it is. But I love that yours was not that was a failure. In fact, I think that was a huge success. To me, you putting yourself out there and being so courageous. And Lori is like one of the most courageous people I know. I say that all the time, because if you watch Lori, she loves with her whole heart. She shows up with her whole heart.
Mhm.
She is so excited to see others live so beautifully, and she always makes sure that people shine. And so no matter what circumstance Lori comes up against, she always sees like the good in it, or like
Mhm.
the lesson through it. And it's always been so inspirational for me, because I watch her on things that are challenging, and then she's like, well, here we go. Look what I learned here. And that's what we can do. So I love that, because so many of us can see it as a failure. And then that dream we had never, ever comes. And somebody needed that. People needed you to keep going, right? Maybe it's timing. Maybe, and I believe in that timing too. Again, back to Haley saying, I believe there's timing, that
Yeah.
everything's unfolding at the right time. And it just wasn't the right time yet.
Yeah.
Just not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you, by the way, Nicole, for those kind words. Oh, Gina says Lori's a bold badass. I love it. I love it.
True, true, true.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know where you're getting yourself into, and you just go. And I think we were speaking about that earlier in this season of at least my life, and I know your life, Nicole. It's time to go in some ways, right? It's time to not shy away from those challenges, and it's time to kind of redefine who we are and get ourselves out there. Because I know you're still in the middle of raising children, but when I was raising children, it was all about the children. And so I just commend you, Nicole, for being able to be a single mom and have a business of your own and support those kids by yourself. And you're doing it. And so I just want to give you those accolades, because it's a great example for those of you out there who are single moms or singlepreneurs, those kind of things, that it's possible and you can do it. If Nicole can do it, you can do it. So,
Thank you so much, Lori. And I believe me, if I can, you can, for sure. Is it always easy? No, for sure, no, for sure, no. But we are on these journeys, and I would way rather people try. I would way rather people try than not. Way rather, because I know that trying alone helps you believe in yourself more than anything else. It really does. Because every time you try, you start to see that you have capabilities, that you are stronger than you thought you were. You are more than you have been giving yourself credit for. And then I also want to say on this whole thing, you know, surround yourself with people who see it.
yeah.
Surround yourself with people who will help you get out of those stories out of your head, help you take that next step, help you, believe that there's more possible, because whatever you're surrounding yourself with is in the mind, in the heart, in the cells, all those things. And I really believe that that is a huge part of the formula. We're on this journey, but if you're surrounding yourself with people who keep reminding you how awesome, like Gina just said, Lori is a badass, a bold badass. I love it because she is reminding Lori right now of all she is too, right? And we continue to surround ourselves with that. It helps us move through all of these things and helps us not talk ourselves out of the things that we would love.
I love that. And I think that's kind of the point of this podcast and why we started, is because we wanted to share our lives and our diaries with everyone who's tuning in and give them a chance to share with us. And it really is about encouraging each other about this life that we're living and all the challenges that we face. And so thank you, Nicole, for just giving all of those nuggets to everyone and the encouragement. I want to encourage you guys too. We had a listener tell us that she listened to 7 minutes of our podcast, the first 7 minutes. It's been a few weeks now. And she started that thing that she wanted to start. And I was like, oh my gosh, that brings tears to my eyes, because that's really why we're here, is to encourage you guys to put something out there that's positive, and also to motivate you and to tell you, go ahead, do the thing, and then come back next week and tell us all about it. So I want to go back and just revisit Lonnie's comment. She says, Lori, I just went through that same experience and almost canceled it, but held the retreat in spite of the fact that it wasn't financially successful. Then she says the value of the experience was so much more important for those who attended and for me. Well, congratulations, Lonnie, on holding that retreat and going through with the plan, even though you maybe didn't have all of the spaces filled. So I just commend you for that. And maybe we should partner up on the next retreat. But I mean, it's so valuable to learn those lessons and actually get yourself out there, because failure is exactly what you define it as. You can say it's failure, or you can say it's a lesson learned. And so for me, it was a lesson learned, and it sounds like it was a lesson learned from you as well, Lonnie. So thank you for sharing. And so we're going to shift into the next part of our podcast, which is always so fun, because we like to give you guys some ways that you can kind of take these lessons home with you and write in your own diaries. And so we also have a reflection guide. So we have one of these every single week. So if you want the reflection guide, just comment diary in the comments. You can also go to our website, which might be a little bit easier so that we don't forget to get back with you. But it's shareddiarypodcast.com. And then you just scroll down and there's a button you can click that says, send me the weekly guide. So you can sign up for these and get these every single week. And this is another thing that we're learning as we go, that this should be a part of what we do and provide for you, is something to take home, something to, cherish. And you can print these out and you can fill them in and you can keep a notebook every week. And we would love that. So some actionable practices that we can do together this week is, notice one moment when you're about to say no to yourself, then pause. Before making the decision, ask yourself, is this really what I want, or is this what fear wants? So ask yourself, which way do I go? Do I go with fear, or do I go with myself? And then notice one opportunity where your first instinct is to list all the reasons you can't, and instead ask, if I trust myself just 5% more, what would I choose? So at the end of each day, you can actually write down one moment when you chose courage over comfort, even if it was something small, right? Even if it was just to call that friend that you're scared of having maybe a difficult conversation with, or, asking a new friend out for coffee, whatever it is. I think it's important to actually write those things down and tell yourself when you've won and when you maybe need to push yourself some more. So, part three, I want to make sure we cover what has life taught you about fear. This is a big one, but I would love, Nicole, for you to just give us some of your thoughts on what has life taught you about fear?
Well, I think what it's taught me, oh my gosh, that is a big question. Um, I think it's taught me that fear will probably always show up, that it's always going to be there when I want to do something new. That I can't just say I'm like, I know there's the term fearless, but I don't know if it 100% exists, that you're 100% fearless. I feel like there's, and if you are 100% fearless, you're amazing. I don't know. But like for me, I don't think I will ever be fearless. And if I have no fear, I think I sometimes question myself, am I doing the things I like, am I expanding? Am I even growing? Am I doing things that, are going to change my life a bit? Because if I'm just in that comfort zone all the time, am I actually growing? Am I actually doing things that are going to push me past where I am?
Yeah.
So I think fear has taught me that it's never not going to be part of my life, but it has also taught me that lots of times what I fear is not true and that I need to really question it. I need to sit in and even write out, what is it that I am fearing? What is it? And look at it from my eyes and be like, is that 100% true? Is that really true? And if, like, when I write it down, you know, would everybody in my life agree that what I'm saying is 100% true? If I had more people around, would they all believe that too? And most of the time we are the hardest critics on ourselves, right? And we're just trying to protect ourselves. We really are. We don't want to get hurt. We do not want to fail. We do not want to be judged. We don't want these things. But if we know that those things are all going to be part of life at some point, we all are going to, we will be judged. We will fail at things. We will have things go wrong. Wouldn't it be worth it to still give it a try and still put yourself out there? Because so many of the most amazing things that we enjoy today were because people said, I know I'm going to be judged. I know there's fear. I don't know what the other side is, but I'm going for it anyways. Like I think about, I remember when I was studying with Bob Proctor years ago, and he talks about the story of the airplane. And like, who would have ever thought metal like that would ever get off the ground? Like birds fly, but like humans don't. And, and especially within a big metal box, right? But yet people thought about the idea. They worked on it. They put the effort into it because they believed it was possible. They didn't sit in the logic of what they knew today. They thought about what would be possible. And I think we wouldn't have so much of what we love and that we experience today without people dreaming bigger and stepping into their fear. And so I am so grateful for all the people that continue to step into fear and continue to do the things that one day we will thank them for. We will really thank them for. And that's why even when I'm on social media and I see, people doing their lives or, doing their live videos, or they're promoting their products or whatever they're trying to do. I love to try to celebrate all these people because that takes courage to put yourself out there. And one person or one, well, lots of people can be living better just because you had the courage to step up. You had the courage. So I keep saying, go for it. Go for it. We need you. We need you. And I don't want you living with regrets. I want you to live as fully expanded as you were meant to live while you were here.
I love
So
that. I love the example of the airplane, because if you think about how many times, how many failures it took for them to actually get off the ground, I
Mhm.
don't know how many. I don't know this. I don't know the details of that story, but the Wright brothers are,
Mhm.
the inventors, and they must have gone through so many different iterations. And I think that's just amazing to think about. Yes, and now with full confidence, we every single day get on airplanes, sit down, put our luggage under, like, and we take off and we're just reading a book, but we're flying through the air at hundreds of miles an hour and thousands of feet above the earth. So I think that's such a good point about how fear should not keep us from trying. And it's a beautiful example and illustration and a visualization. I think for me, what has life taught me about fear? I think number one, that it's the phrase "feel the fear and do it anyway," is we're fearful creatures because we are protective of our own lives, and that's like a natural thing, right? And hello, Joe, thank you for joining us. It's a natural thing to feel the fear, but to know whether is it a bear chasing me, is am I going to die if I do this? No, probably not. So feeling the fear and then using that energy to propel you forward, I think, is a skill that we could all learn to do a little bit better. And for me, what helps me when I'm thinking about something and I haven't done it yet is, what's the worst case scenario? So I'll actually sometimes take myself down that train, like, okay, well, maybe I will not have any money next month, or maybe I will lose this job or this comfort or this relationship. But if I take myself all the way to the end of that train, it's typically not that bad, because it's our bodies and our emotions and our thoughts and our brain in the back of our head is the what is it, the amygdala, right,
Mhm.
that says
Mhm.
no, 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 stop, stop, stop.
Mhm.
If we follow those cues, then we're kind of robbing ourselves of a great experience of actually feeling that fear and doing it anyway. So thank you, Catherine, for watching. Enjoyed all topics today, and it's been great, guys. Thank you for putting your thoughts out there. I wanted to address Lonnie's comment. Our brain is built to protect us. So fear can be a constant resident trying to keep us safe. And we've talked about that, how fear kind of keeps us safe. But how we get past it is to check in with our heart, which I thought was really good to think about. Like, if we can move out of the fear and check in with our heart, why, going back to your answer earlier, Nicole, remembering your why, checking in with your heart and saying, why do I want to do this in the first place? Is it for a good reason? Is it because I feel like I should, or is it because I know if I do this, it's going to make a big difference in not only my life, but other people's lives? So knowing your purpose, knowing your why, super, super important. So I can't believe it's already time to end our time together. It's just always flies by. But I did want to mention that we always have these last questions that we want to challenge you with. So if you have a pen and a paper, then you can grab it and jot these down. What's bringing you joy right now? This is a good exercise, and we can do this weekly together. What's bringing you joy right now? What's challenging you right now? What's inspiring you right now? And what's one thing that you're grateful for this week? So, thinking about those good, positive things and actually writing them down triggers to your brain that you're okay, that you are safe, that you can move forward. And then the bonus question is, what's one thing you're going to stop talking yourself out of this week? So yay, I can't wait to hear next week. What is the one thing you stopped talking yourself out of and started talking yourself into? And I can't wait to hear the updates of what's happened as a result. So our last question is always this. It is, if you wrote one sentence at the bottom of today's diary entry, what would it say? Maybe it's this week, I'm going to give myself permission to, or I'm going to stop talking myself out of. This week, I'm going to, well, I'll let you go, Nicole. I need to think about this a little.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think about it too. For me, I think it is be your best friend. Be your best friend. What would your best friend say? I think lots of times I'm just going to briefly share something. I'm listening to a book right now by Peter Sage, and it's a really interesting book. But he has a term in there called goop, and it's good opinions of other people, and how often we, like defer to others for our dreams. Like we'll have this dream and then we talk to so and so, and we talk to so and so, and they talk us out of it. And I wanted to bring this up on here is that he's like, that's what I call goop, because he said it often stops you. Are you in the goop? And so, I'm remembering this all the time, because is it my opinion that I'm listening to, my heart, what I would really love, or is it somebody else's? And so I want to be my best friend this week, be my best friend of what would be so beautiful, right? Listen to me instead of the goop. Get out of the goop. How about for you, Lori?
I love that. I love catchy things like that that we can remember. So I'm going to try to remember that this week too. Get out of the goop. And Joe says, I like that. Be your best friend. So powerful. So powerful. Yes. I think for me, my last thought about today and the topic, if I wrote one sentence at the bottom of my diary, it would be, I'm going to give myself permission to fail, because I'm always going to learn from my failures. And if I know it's the right direction and I go in that direction and I actually fail, whatever I'm defining failure as, I will learn something. So I think that's what my sentence will be. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you have time, you can go ahead and jot down any kind of last thought that you have. I love that. Joe says, bam. Lonnie says, goop, good opinions of other people. Yes, please remember that. So, all right, guys. Well, this has been wonderful. I really want to thank you for being here with us live. And if you want to join us next week, you can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. We actually create events every single week in Facebook and in LinkedIn. So you can go to our profiles, look at our events, or you can search for the events. That is the Shared Diary podcast. So thank you guys for joining us. And Nicole, do you have any last thoughts before we end our time?
No, you know what? I just I wanted to share that I saw my mom was on today, and I really believe, my mom is I hope she doesn't mind me saying that she's in her early 80s. She is amazing to me, and I like getting on here and making the comments, and she's trying all new things with technology. She's going out with new friends these days and all of these things, because it is expanding her life so much. And so I just wanted to shout her out today, because she has also been in my ear telling me not to give up on things. She's been there, sharing with me to keep going. And so I wanted to say hello to my sweet mama today. And I'm so inspired by you and what you continue to do. So thank you for being in my life. Love you. And so, yes.
I love it. That's the perfect way to end today. And shout out to Catherine, Nicole's mom. We love you. We love that you come here every single week. And we love that you engage with your comments. And thank you for being such a cheerleader in Nicole's life. I'm sure if I knew you, I would love you too.
You would.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, thanks guys for being with us. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for joining in. If you loved this today, please share it with a friend and invite them into the conversation next week, because life is better when the diary is open. Before we close today's diary, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for spending your time with us, for listening, for reflecting, and for being willing to open your heart along with ours. It truly means more than you know. The shared diary isn't just our story, it's yours too. If today's conversation encouraged you, challenged you, or reminded you that you're not alone, we'd love for you to stay connected. You can find us at shareddiarypodcast.com, where you'll discover episode archives, resources, and ways to connect with our community. If you'd like to reach out to Lori, Debbie, or Nicole, you'll find all of our information there as well. We'd love to hear your story. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, don't forget to like this episode, leave us a comment, and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy podcasts, be sure to follow the show, leave a rating, and share it with someone who might need to hear today's message. Most importantly, keep showing up, keep growing, keep sharing your story, because life is better when the diary is open. We're here for you. You're not alone. We'll see you next time on The Shared Diary.